Hello, beloved community. So, this month, my pastor's message is all about Ash Wednesday and Lent. What is Ash Wednesday and Lent? Well, Ash Wednesday is the first day of Lent, which is a season of 40 days. And in this season, we are reminded that we are God's children, and we are intentionally invited to follow Jesus, to take up ways of being and ways of living so that we can realign ourselves with Jesus. Think about it like using your GPS, and when you go off stray and all of a sudden you hear that voice say, recalculating. So Lent is specifically a time every year in our church year to remind us that we need to return. Turning and returning is a big theme of Lent. The ashes that we will use on Ash Wednesday are made from palms from last year's Palm Sunday. And so we hang on to those and they dry and then we burn them and often mix them with holy oil somehow so that we can use those ashes to mark our foreheads, reminding us of who we are and whose we are. Lent, as I said, is a season of 40 days, so it is symbolic of Jesus's 40 days in the desert. We always start with that story of Jesus sometimes it's called the wilderness. And so we are invited to follow Jesus, taking on many of the customs that Jesus did, praying, practicing generosity, giving of ourselves and of our gifts to others, and fasting. So abstaining from something, letting go of some things. Lent is 40 days because if you actually go from Ash Wednesday to Easter, you go, well, that's not 40 days because Sundays don't count. Sundays are not included in the 40 days of Lent. Sundays are feast days. They are celebrations. We are celebrating Jesus's sacrificial giving love every Sunday. So every Sunday is kind of a mini Easter. Lent, as I said, is 40 days of committing to following Jesus, and we do it by praying. So we're committing to communicating and listening, because listening is an important part of praying, to and with God, of giving, of sharing what we have so that all have enough, and fasting and feasting. That's the cycle that we have, fasting, right? And then we have those feast days. So during that season of Lent, we're practicing letting go of what keeps us from God, fasting, and then feasting, delighting in what connects us to God. So think of it as these 40 days as an invitation to fast and to feast. What can you let go of that gets in the way of you and God? And what can you feast on that helps you to connect or to know God better? So here at the Beloved Community, I just want to make sure everybody's aware of what we have as far as communal worship. So when we communal, meaning we gather together as a community, this Wednesday, March 6th, is Ash Wednesday. We will have a soup supper at 5:30 p.m. and worship at 6:15 p.m. Every Wednesday during Lent up until Holy Week, we will start with a soup supper at 5:30, and then we'll have a special time for kiddos since Wednesday night is our formation night, our education night, at 6:15 in the church, focusing on prayer specifically this Lent. And then the smaller kids will go off to their classes, and some of the older kids and adults and young adults and youth will stay in the church, and at 6:30 we'll start a Lenten evensong. So at 6:30, kiddos will go off to their classes, older kids and young adults and youth and adults will stay for evensong, and we'll be alternating between Holden's evening prayer and the Episcopal evensong. And every Wednesday, there will also be some special stations in the church to focus on prayer. So some prayer practices and some prayer stations that you can partake in during that time of worship. Our Lenten Sundays, the first Sunday of Lent is March 10th, and we have one service that morning since it is the second Sunday, and we always just have one service bringing folks together in the Beloved Community, and that will be at 10 a.m. And then March 17th, 24th, and April 7th, we will have our usual routine of two services, the 8 a.m., which is a little bit more formal and traditional, and the 10 a.m., which is more contemporary and informal. March 30th is the fifth Sunday of March. And so on our fifth Sundays this year, if you remember, we're doing something special. We're having Saturday evening gatherings at 5:30 p.m. This one will be dinner church. So you'll get fed in more ways than one, but it will include dinner. And actually, the Episcopal bishop will be with us at this dinner church. And so that's Saturday, March 30th at 5:30 p.m. Because on Sunday, March 31st, we won't have any services. We'll be practicing keeping Sabbath at home with our families and or friends. April 14th is Palm Sunday, and we will, since that is the second Sunday, we will be celebrating Palm Sunday all together at 10 a.m. So I really hope, beloved, that you can come and join us as we live this wonderful season. I know a lot of times Lent is kind of portrayed as this really downtrodden season and mea culpa, mea culpa. And in turning and returning, we are certainly discovering and looking at the places in us that might need a little work, but we're also recognizing the places in us that are really connected to God, and we're delighting in those. We're feasting on those ways. So it's really a season of joy, the joy of returning to God, the joy of remembering who we are, God's beloved, and whose we are, God's beloved, and that we belong not only to God, but we belong to one another. And it's a season of remembering how well loved we are. So I hope you will join us here at the Beloved Community, where all are welcome just as you are, as we're all walking this pilgrim way of love. Have a great week, and we'll see you this Wednesday night, 5:30 p.m., soup supper, 6:15 Ash Wednesday service. There will always include special messages for kids at all of the major feast days. So Ash Wednesday, Maundy, Thursday, Good Friday will always have something special for the kids. Sundays at 10, there's always something special for the kids. So your kids are not only welcome at all of these services, but we try to think ahead for what might help to engage them in what's happening in church. We'll see you soon.